Hey, what's up? Welcome to Degen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the charts behind me, which are of Polestar Automotive, ticker symbol PSNY, as well as Lucid Motors, ticker symbol LCID. And so I did a video on both of these last Saturday. That tends to be the routine. As long as it gets 100 views, I'll be doing it again next week. And I have to say, it's been really cool watching both of these stocks, seeing how they've been trading. I think both charts are beautiful, and I do think that Polestar is kind of leading the way as far as how they're trading. And so I'm going to start with that one. And yeah, I just think both charts look so cool. I'm really excited to go over some levels that are standing out to me. So looking at Polestar, did close on Friday, January 26th at a price of $2.20. Does look like it might be putting in a topping signal, so I will go over that and levels that I think it will be returning to before a likely continuation in my view, but it will be pulling back. And so from the last video, I did go over this Fibonacci retracement with the 1618 level at $1.56.6, which I had expected to be the bottom around here, but it actually did not go that low. It only went to $1.59. So unfortunate, missed the bottom by a little bit, but I did have a position in it, so no big deal there. And then from that retracement, I do see other levels that stand out, one being the 100% retracement down to a price of $1.98. I do think that will be key in the week or weeks ahead. And then also the 618, which is at a price of $2.23.6. And you might notice that it does look like price hit that level on Thursday and Friday of last week. So on Thursday, the 25th, it hit a high of $2.24, so just barely breaking that level and actually closing at $2.24, but could not close higher than that level, did get a pullback, and what looks like an inverted hammer, or this I believe is a shooting star candle, that does suggest a reversal, that sellers are selling above, $2.24, really above, let's see, the open of yesterday, of Friday, January 26th, was $2.22. So right around there, sellers are ditching the stock. And let's see, so from that, I do think that there will be a pullback, but to what level? And, just kind of obviously based on this red line that I have drawn here at $2 being a psychological level, as well as being right around this 100% retracement at $1.98, I do think it will be returning to that level. And adding to this Fibonacci retracement from the way up here, I can actually add another Fibonacci retracement, which I've already done. I've just faded it, so just making that less transparent. We can see that $2.24.5 is again the 618 level. So right around $2.24 plus or minus, 0.5 cents there. That does look like, a significant level, and that has served as resistance. So to me, that just seems very, very beautiful that both of these levels are lining up right there. We are getting a topping signal on the week. So I do think that the stock price will be pulling back, and I do think it will be returning to right around $2 to test the top of this wedge that it has just broken out of over the past few days. I think it will be testing $2 to confirm the breakout before continuing higher. And so what I have done, and you do you, what I have done on the way up, I was trimming my position, and I was contemplating on Friday after the close, do I sell, do I trim, or do I just hold? Because I am long-term bullish on the stock. What I ended up doing, again, you do you, I sold my position because I do see that there will be a pullback, and making these videos and reviewing them weekly, I've gotten a lot more confident in my analysis. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I think price is coming down to $2 I'll buy those shares back there. And so that's just me. You do you. It is quite possible at $2.17, this orange line that I've gone over, it's quite possible that serves as support and this continues higher next week. It's fine. I might be missing out, but I lowered my risk and I took profits. And so that's how I'm approaching this. But I do expect there to be a pullback, a retest of the outbreak, and a confirmation moves higher. And so I'm going to take advantage of that if that does play out, but I might be wrong. And so again, if I am correct on this being the top, which was a high on Friday of $2.29, I could do another Fibonacci retracement, and I've already done it. I've just faded it out. So I'm going to bring that back in, going from the low here. I guess it's offset a little bit as far as the candle goes, but it's $1.59, which was the close here. So I've got all of these levels kind of overwhelming. But what I see is that the 382 is at a price of $2.02.3, and the 50% retracement is at a price of $1.94. And so kind of in that range, really like $2 plus or minus 5 cents, I do think price will be returning there. So I plan to start adding back in, right around $2.05. And, if it does go lower, if it breaks down to, let's say, the 618 level, which would be $1.85.7, that would be breaking back into this wedge. So let's see, bigger picture. If we look at this wedge, that would be actually, I'm going to fade that Fibonacci just so it's not too cluttered down there. But let's see. That would be breaking back into the wedge, and so that might suggest that there would be a retrace down to this 618 again, right around $1.56.6. So if it does break notably below $2, that could be short-term bearish, but that would suggest that there could be more opportunities to add lower before another attempt to break out of this wedge. But I do feel like $2 will hold, and we will be seeing a breakout, a confirmation and a continuation to the upside, like going to $2.50. And I should note before I switch over to Lucid what the max pain is for this coming, it's monthly contracts. So for February 16th, that is a max pain of $2. So that does suggest a return over the next couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, down to $2. So I would not be surprised about that. And it's quite possible it could break lower and retest and confirm the wedge at a lower price. Like, let's see, I'm going to put that Fibonacci back up there. And that is, that could be coming down to, let's see, the 16th, when that max pain would be, is right over here. So that could coincide with a 786 retracement still being outside of the wedge above it. So that could still be bullish with testing, $1.74 around, a few weeks from now. That could still confirm the breakout and a continuation higher. So, I do think that there's going to be a pullback, and so I'm on the sidelines for the time being. But it's just something to consider. And before I switch over to Lucid, I'm going to put this on the weekly time frame. And so what we see here is it does look like there is a topping tail. And so we want to see, in order to see that continuation of bullish moves higher, we want to see a close above $2.29, which is based on the high of this week. And we did see a close at a price of $2.20, and so we want to see closes, breaks above those levels. But I do think that we're going to see a pullback to either $2, possibly lower. With that max pain, it could suggest a return to $1.74, which would still potentially be bullish if we're outside of the wedge, get a break, a confirmation and a break higher. So I think that's super cool. And now I'm just going to apply, basically what I went over here with Polestar to Lucid, because I think it's super relevant and I just think they're such beautiful charts. I'm really excited about both of them. Okay, so with Lucid, we did see, this pullback to the bottom of the wedge like we saw with Polestar here, so we saw this drawdown testing the bottom of the wedge. With Lucid, however, it does look like we've broken below that wedge. However, the wedge is drawn on the weekly time frame, or the bottom of it is, and we haven't seen any closes below that. So I don't think that this is bearish. I don't think it's bearish at all. I think that this is a great opportunity to be stacking Lucid. And so, last week we saw a close of the week at a price of $2.71. Right at the base of this wedge. This week we saw a close at $2.65. That does look like an inverted hammer, so that could potentially be bearish. However, that's at the base of this downtrend, so that actually suggests a reversal. However, with the close of this week at 265 being lower than last week's close, that is a little bearish. That does suggest we could see a continuation downside. So I'm really curious to see if the 1618 does act as support, continues to hold as support. So if it does dip below that, that could be a great buying opportunity. But, again, it could continue lower, so good to be cautious about that. But anyways, back to the daily chart. What I see here is over the past week, we did not hit a lower low, so I do think that's good. It does suggest that we are forming a double bottom, respecting this 1618 at $2.57.6. So I think that's great. And then another thing that I think is so incredible about this chart is where it was rejected on the 24th, which would have been Wednesday, which is, by the way, a bearish engulfing candle from the previous day. So, not surprising that we saw a pullback there. But the high of the day was $3.15, which was also the open. And I don't know if you can see it. There's a gray line there. I faded that out. I grayed it out from last week's video because I didn't think it'd be that significant, but I wanted to have it up there just in case. And so that is based on these touch points going back to the end of 2022. And, it got rejected like perfectly from that level. So I think that's pretty incredible. And I think that this pullback is really, great buying opportunities because of the parallels that I see with Polestar, that we saw this drawdown here, and with Lucid, we're at the bottom here, getting a double bottom, an opportunity to add more before the rip up. And you might have noticed it that on this chart, I do have the 618 from this uptrending Fibonacci retracement, just like I had with this Polestar retracement. And that's exactly where price is at with Polestar right now, at what seems like a top. So I do think there's going to be a pullback with Polestar, but with Lucid, I feel like that level is the target. So I do think that price could be going up in the next week or two for Lucid to a price of $4.26.6, or right around, let's have fun with it, $4.20. So I do see that. I think that looks like a great target. And then if we do the same thing like I did with Polestar, I did a retracement on the way down, assuming that this is the bottom over here. I'm just going to make it opaque so we can see it. And that 618 for the way down also lines up with on the way up at a price of $2.25.2, or again, right around $4.20, having fun with it. And so what I can see with the price of Lucid over the next 2 to 3 weeks is if we can get a break and hold above $3, I think price is going to blow past $4 and hit $4.20, hitting these levels, likely breaking above them, but closing below. And I do think that there will probably be a pullback to $4 after that. But, I see this as being really, really bullish based on where it's at, what we've seen in the chart. And if I do switch over to max pain for Lucid for next week, so closing the week of February 2nd, max pain is $2.50. So at current price, that is a little bearish. That does suggest that there will be some downside. But if price closes next week above 250 or whatever max pain ends up being, that could trigger a gamma squeeze, and that could send the price up to not only $3, not only $4, but to $4.20. So I'm stoked about that for this chart, and I'm stoked about identifying the top for this one, but we will have to follow up next weekend to see if my calls were right. And, have to close this with, if my thoughts were helpful for you, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome charting like I've been doing on the channel. It's been so fun doing this with you. Thanks a lot for watching.